They fired me 3 days before Christmas. Security waited at my desk. My badge died before anyone spoke. They thought I was the problem. They had no idea what I'd uncovered. By the time the truth surfaced, the real criminals were already cornered.
This is what happened next.
Okay, so I got fired 3 days before Christmas. Not like, sorry, budget cuts, we're letting you go, fired. I mean, I walked into the office on a Tuesday, my badge didn't work, and security was waiting by my desk. But here's the thing, they thought they were firing me because I was a problem. Turns out, I was the only one who caught their crime. And by the end of this story, the actual criminals, they're the ones getting arrested. My name's Jennifer Chen. I'm a Senior Payroll Administrator at VectorPay. Or, was 6 years. That's how long I'd been there. If you don't know what a payroll admin does, you're not alone. It's boring as hell. I process paychecks for about 400 employees. 6 dime, make sure everyone gets paid on time. I manage tax withholdings, 401k contributions, all that stuff. It's technical, it's detail-oriented, and honestly, I was really good at it. I lived in Queens. I had an apartment that ate about 40% of my paycheck. I had student loans. Fear Stay had that anxiety that every New Yorker has where you're one bad month away from not being able to cover rent. But I had a job, good job, benefits package, stability, or so I thought. VectorPay is this fintech company in Midtown. We process payments for other businesses. We're not huge, maybe 400 people, but we're growing, making money. The kind of place where people actually want to work. Richard Mitchell is the CEO. Older guy, maybe late 50s. He's been running the company for about 15 years. Built it up from nothing. People respect him. Or they did. Richard has a son, Tyler Mitchell. Tyler's like, Dito. Tyler's the kind of guy who has confidence that has absolutely nothing to do with what he's actually done in life. Yale MBA. No real work experience. But somehow, in November, he shows up at VectorPay as VP of Operations. Nobody remembers him being hired. Like, there was no interview. One day, he just was there, in an office. CE, with a title. So Tyler walks in and immediately decides everything we're doing is legacy. That's his favorite word, legacy. Legacy systems. Legacy processes. Legacy thinking. But here's what I realized really quick. Tyler doesn't understand what any of those systems actually do. He just thinks old equals bad. First week, he wants to restructure the payment reconciliation process. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he has ideas. So I ask him to walk me through his proposal. He shows me this spreadsheet he made. It's basically color-coded, which I guess looks nice, but the logic is wrong. It doesn't account for pending transactions. It doesn't flag discrepancies. It's broken. I tell him that. Nicely, I say, hey, this looks organized, but we might miss critical issues with this approach. He says, and I'll never forget this. He says, Jennifer, you're thinking too small. We need to move fast. Bureaucracy is what kills innovation. Except reconciliation isn't bureaucracy. Standing between us and chaos. But I couldn't convince him. And my boss, Diane Richardson, she just nodded along with whatever Tyler said. Because Diane's been here long enough to know which way the wind blows, and the wind was blowing Tyler Mitchell. I remember going home that night and just sitting on my couch. My husband asked me how work was. I couldn't even articulate it. It was just this feeling, like something wasn't right. I didn't know what yet, but something was wrong. 2 weeks later, I'm running the monthly reconciliation. Standard stuff. I'm comparing what should have been processed against what actually was processed. And there's a gap. Not a huge gap. CHL, but there are payments going to a vendor we've never used. DataSync Solutions. They're billing us like $40,000 a month for API integration services. Except we don't use DataSync, and we definitely didn't authorize any API integration. So I dig, and I find they've been billing us since September. Date, that's $120,000 to a company that doesn't exist. At least, not really. The company's registered. It has a tax ID, but when I look closer at the bank account, it's wired to something smells off. I go to Diane. I say, hey, we've got unauthorized billing from DataSync Solutions. We need to investigate this. Diane goes pale, sexually pale. Second, and she says, Jennifer, let me look into that. But she doesn't look into it. 3 days later, she comes back and says, it's fine. Tyler approved it. It's part of his API modernization project. And I say, but there's no documentation, no contract, no authorization from finance. She says, it's handled. Don't worry about it. 6. Except I am worried. Because I process paychecks. I know what authorized spending looks like. And this isn't it. I'm at my apartment. It's a Sunday. I'm reviewing more transactions on my laptop, just digging. And I find 3 more vendors, all registered in the past 6 months, all billing VectaPay, all the payments routing to the same bank account. I cross-reference the account. It's registered to a company called Ridge Capital Holdings, and I pull up who the authorized signers are on that account. It's Tyler Mitchell. That's when my hands start shaking, like actually shaking. I had to put the laptop down because this isn't a mistake. This isn't Tyler being sloppy. This is intentional. This is stealing. I called my husband into the living room. I said, I think something really bad is happening at work, and I think I'm the person who's going to have to do something about it. He asked me what I was going to do. I didn't have an answer yet. So this is where it gets complicated. VectaPay has a board meeting scheduled for the following Tuesday. It's a regular think quarterly review, financial updates, strategic planning. Nothing crazy. But a few days before, I hear through the office grapevine that Tyler's pushing for a board seat. Like he wants to be promoted from VP to actually being a board member. Second, which in corporate politics is a huge deal. It means power, it means he's untouchable. And I'm thinking if Tyler gets on that board, if he consolidates power, nobody's going to be able to touch him on this fraud. So I decide I'm going to the board meeting. I'm going to bring the evidence. I'm going to present what I found. I gather everything. Date, I make copies. Bank statements, funder registrations, transaction histories, it's all there. It's all documented. I'm ready. The board meeting's in the executive conference room on the 15th floor. I've never been to one before. I'm sitting there with my folder, and I feel like I'm going to throw up. Richard Mitchell is there. Diane's there. 4 other board members, including this woman named Maggie Torres. She's smart. You can tell just by looking at her. She's on the board because she actually knows what she's doing. Richard opens the meeting. He talks about Q3 results, growth metrics, whatever. That's it. Then he says, Tyler has a proposal he'd like to present regarding his appointment to the board. Tyler stands up. He's got his slides ready. He's talking about modernizing operations, removing legacy constraints, blah, blah, blah. And then I stand up. The room goes quiet. I say, I need to present something. Senior Payroll Administrator. I've discovered unauthorized payments totaling approximately $120,000 to fictitious vendors. The payments are being routed to accounts registered to Tyler Mitchell. Tyler's face just changes. I can see it happen in real time. He goes from confident to furious. He says, Jennifer, that's ridiculous. State, those are pre-authorized vendor accounts. You don't have the full context. And I say, very calmly, Tyler, I have the bank statements, I have the vendor registrations, and I have the fact that DataSync Solutions, Ridge Capital Holdings, and the 3 other vendors don't actually provide any services to VectaPay. C. Either explain what services they provided or admit that's not possible. The room is silent. Richard says, this is a very serious accusation. Do you have proof? I put the folder on the table. I say, all of it's in there. Documented, dated, traceable. Date. Tyler stands up and says, Jennifer, I respect you, but you're being emotional about this. This is just legacy tech thinking. The industry's evolved. You're still old school. You need to stay current. And that's when Maggie Torres leans forward. Maggie says, Tyler, that's not an answer to her question. Asked you to explain the vendor payments. You're attacking her instead. Tyler gets red. Actually red. He looks at his father and says, Dad, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the problem. Legacy employees clinging to old processes, blocking innovation. Richard looks uncomfortable. Second, he looks at me and says, Jennifer, I think you're out of line. Tyler is spearheading important initiatives for this company. I'd like you to apologize to my son for questioning him publicly, especially here in front of the board. And I look at him, sign 10. I look at Tyler, I look at Diane, who won't make eye contact with me, Mercedes, and I say, I can't apologize for doing my job accurately. And I won't, but I think it's best if I resign effective immediately. I put my resignation letter on the table, I stand up, I walk out, and Maggie Torres, she watches the whole thing. I'm in the lobby, I'm shaking. I've just quit my job. 3 days before Christmas. Second, with rent due in 2 weeks. I call my husband, I tell him what happened. He's quiet for a long time. Then he says, okay, we'll figure it out. That's when I know I made the right call, because he didn't tell me to go back. He didn't say I was crazy. He just said we'd figure it out. We would, but it wasn't going to be easy. Here's what people don't realize about corporate fraud. It usually falls apart because of documentation. I had documentation. So the day after I resign, I call a lawyer. Not to sue VectaPay, but to understand what I actually discovered. I describe everything. The vendors, the payments, the routing accounts. Data the lawyer listens and then says, Jennifer, what you're describing is wire fraud. Federal crime, you need to report this. I ask her to who? She says, the FBI. So that's what I do. I call the FBI's white-collar crime tip line. I describe everything. They ask me questions for about 40 minutes. Said at the end, they say, we're going to assign this to an investigator. Don't go back to that company. Don't try to get more evidence. Let us handle it. And then I hang up. And I realize that my life just got a lot more complicated. The next 2 weeks are the worst. I'm sitting at home. I don't have a job. My savings are decent, but not infinite. Says, my husband's working, but his salary covers maybe 60% of our expenses. Rent's due, holiday bills are piling up. And I'm waiting to see if the FBI actually does anything. I check my email obsessively. I scroll through VectaPay's LinkedIn page. Nothing changes. Tyler's still listed as VP. Richard's still listed as CEO. Life goes on like I never existed. But then, on December 22nd, my phone rings. It's the FBI investigator. She says, we've confirmed your information. We have enough for federal charges. Tyler Mitchell and Richard Mitchell are being arrested tomorrow morning. I don't remember what I said after that. I think I just said, okay, December 23rd. Sirens, I'm home. See, I'm not there to see it. But I hear about it within hours. FBI agents went to Richard Mitchell's house. They went to Tyler's apartment. They arrested both of them right there. FBI agents, federal crime, the works. By the afternoon, it's on the news. VectaPay CEO and son arrested on wire fraud charges. There's Tyler's mugshot. CR, there's Richard's mugshot. Both of them in handcuffs. I won't lie to why I felt something when I saw that. Not happiness, exactly. Not revenge. Just this sense of like, okay, it's real. It's actually happening. Justice is real, and it's actually happening. I called my mom. I told her what happened. She cried. She asked me if I was okay. I'm okay. I will be okay. And for the first time in 2 weeks, I actually believed that. 2 days after the arrest, I get an email from Maggie Torres, the board member who watched the whole thing go down. She wants to meet for coffee. In person, so I meet her at a cafe in Midtown. She's direct. She doesn't waste time with small talk. Second, she says, I watched you in that board meeting. I watched you present evidence calmly. I watched you refuse to apologize for telling the truth. And then I watched you resign instead of backing down. I don't say anything, I just listen. She continues, when the charges came out, I realized what you'd actually discovered. Gee, you didn't just find irregularities. You found a crime, and you reported it despite the fact that it meant losing your job. She pauses. Then she says, I'm on the board of VectaPay and we're cleaning house. We're implementing new compliance protocols. We're restructuring leadership. And we need someone who understands finance, who understands compliance, and who has the integrity to tell the truth even when it costs them. So here's what I'm offering. Chief Compliance Officer, full authority. 40% raise. Equity bonus. You answer directly to the board, not to any executive. You have complete autonomy. I'm quiet for a minute. Second, and then I say, I appreciate this, but I need conditions. She nods. She's expecting this. I say, I need full autonomy. I need to know what's really going on. And I need to know that the board is serious about cleaning this up, not just covering it up. Maggie smiles. She actually smiles. DC's, those conditions just convinced me we made the right choice. So I said yes. I went back to VectorPay, but not as a payroll admin. I went back as Chief Compliance Officer. I got my job back, but better. I got authority. I got autonomy. I got the ability to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. 4. Richard Mitchell is awaiting trial on federal charges. So is Tyler Dion. She cooperated with the investigators. She got a deal. She's not going to prison, but her career in finance is over. She took the plea because she knew the evidence was overwhelming. And me, I'm doing what I should have been doing all along. CI. I'm protecting people's paychecks. I'm making sure the money people earn actually goes where it's supposed to go. So that's what happened. I got fired 3 days before Christmas because I found a crime. And 6 weeks later, I got a better job because I had the integrity to report it. 0. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't a revenge story. This isn't me winning against Tyler. This is a story about what happens when you do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it costs you. The system worked. It wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, but it worked. Tyler and Richard will face trial. Fit the victim's end, yeah? The company, the employees. The people whose trust was broken, they'll get justice through the courts. But the real victory is that I didn't compromise. I didn't apologize for something I didn't do. I didn't let nepotism or corporate politics make me question my own judgment. I told the truth, and the truth came out. If you're watching this, and you're in a situation where you've discovered something wrong at your job, something illegal, something unethical, something that you know in your gut is not okay, know this: you're not crazy. Your instincts are right, and there are systems in place to protect you if you do the right thing. It's not easy, but it matters. The charges against Tyler and Richard Mitchell are still pending trial. I'll be testifying, but that's next. For now, I'm back at VectorPay. I'm rebuilding compliance. I'm making sure this never happens again. And honestly, for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Thanks for listening.